In this episode of the Odd Man Out podcast, Danny and Sabin dig deep into the topic of motivation, how you can get motivation to create your own content, and where they find motivation to keep the podcast going. If you like the episode, be sure to subscribe to our newsletter in the link below. I'm back.
There you go.
All right, we got it. Let's pretend like none of that happened. What is up, podcast? This is the Odd Man Out podcast, episode number what, Sabin?
Episode 6. Let's go.
Episode 6, dude. We did it. We made it past the hump of 5. We needed a guest to do it. And then this podcast almost didn't happen, folks, because of technical difficulties. But we persevere. Sabin wouldn't let me quit.
Yeah, we've been at it for like an hour and a half, 2 hours now, but we're bringing this podcast to the people.
Definitely that long. All right, Sabin. For those who might be new to the podcast, what do we talk about here on the Odd Man Out podcast in general?
We talk about our careers, everything that has to do with content creation and the management process, as well as uploading, growth, and kind of everything in between that, even some marketing and branding stuff.
Yeah. We talk content, man. Creator economy, baby. And today we're talking about motivation. That's what we're talking about. Sabin picked this topic specifically. It's a perfect day for it because neither of us were motivated to do this. But we're going to persevere. Dude, that's like another word of the day. Perseverance is the word of the day. Perseverance. Trademarked by Odd Man Out. It sounds like we could get a cologne. Like Perseverance by Odd Man Out.
Can we make sure it's like blue ice looking though?
Oh, yeah. With like real grape skins in it. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Be on the lookout to in a Gucci store near you. I don't know if Gucci does spray. All right, cut.
They will.
Okay. Motivation, Sabin. Motivation. I'm gonna let you take this one and start it off, man. Like, what do you want to talk about motivation wise? This is your topic. This is your show today. I'm just gonna sit here and follow your lead.
All right, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
No. I just want to see how you want to start about motivation. There's a lot we could talk about. There's definitely a lot.
No, I mean there's a ton of places to start, but I guess a good place and probably a common ground that we could start out is how to avoid getting burnt out. Figuring out what are ways that we've felt burnout and how we got out of that. And, what are the best ways to get through that period?
Burnout. Yeah, I like that. Because motivation... I'm going to turn off my Ring. Sorry, unprofessional, dude. Please silence your phones before going live. Like, rule number 1. Broke it.
Honestly.
Yeah, so burnout. Burnout's a good one because if you are burning out, motivation is very, very hard to come by. So, to start off... do you want to just do quick tips, like, on just burnout? Like, how do you... You know what? I'm just going to ask you. Let's do an interview style, Sabin. We're going to interview each other. Well, we're getting pretty good at the interviewing. Sabin, how do you, personally, as an editor who edits a lot of projects, how do you avoid burnout? I'll give you a softball. I'll give you a softball to start off.
I think one of my biggest ways of doing it is making sure that I'm editing a bunch of different stuff. And sometimes that means editing my own stuff or just editing things for fun. But I think making sure that you're enjoying what you're doing and that you're editing or whatever you're doing, you're working on stuff you like, which you can't always do that, but make sure you make the time for it to work on things that you enjoy. It can be draining, especially if you're focusing on like one video, like one long video for a client. Find some smaller things to work on in your free time in between because it'll keep the creative juices flowing and it'll keep you active. But you won't feel drained down and bogged down by just this one big project that you're waiting to do or whatever your scenario is.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Just like being able to jump to different projects when you are feeling stuck, which can lead to burnout. Like feeling stuck is the worst part, I think. It's like because you have to get a project done, but like when you're stuck, like truly stuck, you just can't make any headway on it. So just being able to shift your mind somewhere else. That's really good advice. What if like a person, it's just me coming up with a random question. What if somebody doesn't have the option? So like they're editing something that they like, that's all they have. Because that might be somebody like listening to this, like they might be editing for a law firm or a doctor's office or something like that, what would your advice be to somebody who doesn't have the freelance background? Like they're just hired to do one type of thing.
I say try to get creative with it. Figure out where you can make the video your own. Obviously, some clients they don't want you to be creative with it, and unfortunately, that's just how the job goes. Which in that case, I'd say take time to creatively fulfill yourself in that same area, but in other places. Which I think is key. Me as an editor, I improved a lot by just working on my own stuff and trying to improve and do creative things outside of the actual clients I was editing for. And that's important. You have to be making time for you to be growing yourself and enjoying what you're working on. Even if, unfortunately, client wise, you're stuck with the same one. There are other ways you can creatively fulfill yourself.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good point. If you don't have another client, like if you're not freelancing, something that I would recommend is like starting up even on your own personal YouTube. Like most people have a Gmail account, so like take your Gmail account, go to your YouTube, you'll see it. It'll say create channel. Like just make a channel and like start if it's something creatively like itches you, like for me, like sometimes it's doing different intros, different ways to like start a video. Like that might be my itch of the week. So like I would experiment on my personal account that nobody knows about and I would just post it, right? Like put it up on YouTube Shorts, see how it does. And that's how I would fulfill things that I couldn't do on the job in my free time. And then you're learning new techniques. You get to scratch the itch that you have. And you have portfolio work if it's good enough. I've definitely some good portfolio stuff has come out of that. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen. I have this one piece. I would love to find it for a clip. I'm sitting in a closet, but it looks like an office, and I'm on my phone, but a hologram pops out, and it's my Instagram feed, and I'm swiping through the Instagram feed, and I tap it, and a picture pulls out, and then I put it back in. Yeah, it was real slick, dude, and it wasn't difficult. Like it was, if you could follow instructions, you could do it. But there was nowhere for that to live, so I was like, screw it, I'll put it on my personal Instagram, and that's where it's been ever since.
Yeah, that's great. And that's really what you have to do sometimes. Even if you don't like making your own content, there are a ton of ways you can still like make content without it even involving you. Have your
Yeah,
friends be the main focus. Have a no commentary focus. There are plenty of people who do videos even without the video and they just do commentary. Like there are ways for you to creatively fulfill yourself, I think, and find your own self motivation through doing things on your own time, even if it's still things related to work. Like for me
yeah.
personally, I spend a lot of my time outside of my jobs editing still because I like editing a lot, and I think that there are a lot of ways I can continue to improve and benefit from it by using it in a ton of different areas.
Yeah, and it shows in your videos because while you're doing that, like the stuff you are producing is naturally just getting better and better. Like every time I get a clip from Saban, I'm like, oh shit, like this is like good. Like not that you don't make good stuff, but like you can tell when somebody's putting the work in. It's just a question that pops into my head is like, where does motivation come from? Right? And like I don't know if I have the like I doubt anybody has the answer, but it might be helpful for like us to provide like where do you find motivation, and like how and where do you find motivation, I guess is my question.
I think there's a lot of places that I gain motivation from, but what really motivates me as like a general concept is probably some sort of being able to feel like I've personally achieved as much as I want to, while at the same time being able to help others achieve things. I think is generally my motivation for things. Uh,
Helping people, that's a solid one. I feel
yeah,
like,
helping people while like also feeling like I've creatively fulfilled myself.
well, you gotta come first because you're the king, you
Exactly.
got
Yeah. Yeah.
for sure, for sure. No, that's like a really good differentiator, right? So you said like what motivates you versus like how how what are you motivated by, right? So you're motivated by the desire to achieve like your goals, but also if you're helping people, like it's a bonus.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Now I think that that's something that it kind of like goes back to the whole purpose conversation we've had. Like we have it so many times. It's like, why are you doing this? If you have a really strong reason for doing something, that's like core and essential. But now we're building on that block that we've established, and the next layer of that is motivation, right? And I think like motivation for just for me personally is what motivates me, which is a great way to put it. What motivates me is the fact that everything that we're putting out is just like a test case to help other people. Like everything that we're doing on Odd Man Out's podcast, like posting the shorts, doing the newsletters, doing these. We have to record all of these live to like no viewers, which is fine. Like we get a couple people in here, but like overall, it's just me and you jamming for
Yeah,
hours and hours. And what motivates me is that like we're testing things so that we can show other people how to do it more effectively. And that's what really motivates me because once I see us do it and it works, I'm like, cool, I'm jazzed up. But what solidifies it for me is when somebody else gets the same results, if not better results, from what we say.
yeah, I totally agree. That's a great motivation, helping you or hoping to see other people you've worked with achieve something that either you dreamed of or they've dreamed of achieving
Yeah,
at one point
dude,
in life.
we were talking about this a couple weeks ago. You've had a couple of like one take flight clips have been like going. Like you have a couple of those like that are popping. But like me and you both have had friends who are like content creators who have like you're like, dude, like his one video is blowing up, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like that to me is motivating.
Yeah, it's motivating to see people you've grown with and you see yourself on the same level as like a person and as a content creator probably achieve something that's really not super easy to achieve, you know? I mean, people make it look easy to get like 10,000 views or to get to a million subscribers, but like when you really think about it, I mean, there's probably less than 10,000 people with a million subscribers on YouTube. And I know that 10,000 or whatever sounds like a lot, but there's 7 billion people, right? So, like, it's still very difficult to reach these things, and it's still a huge accomplishment to get even the smaller milestones. And that's something a lot of people don't talk about enough, you know? You gotta find your own
Yeah,
motivations. You gotta get that grind set, get that self-love.
the grind set. I like the grind set, dude. We should get that on a t-shirt. The grind
We
set.
should.
No, dude, like it's like you're exactly right. Like I can't even add to that because it's just you got to get motivated by something that's not like vanity numbers, right? Like me and Saban will share when we get subscriber milestones. I think milestones are important to celebrate, but like that's not enough to motivate you cuz like there's always going to be the next rung up. And if that's the only thing that motivates you, dude, like you're gonna have the same number of viewers for months, dude. Like it doesn't matter if you have 10 subs or like 5,000 subs, you're gonna get the same amount of live viewers. So like you shouldn't tie your motivation to just like that type of metric, unless there's an
Yeah.
underlying like an underpinning goal. Like if you know that you can get if you get 5 viewers, you know for a fact like somebody has contacted you and said, hey, if you get 5 concurrent viewers, I'll pay you money. That is the only circumstance where like a vanity metric might be reasonable, right?
Yeah.
There's very few times where I'm like, oh yeah, like a million views is worth uh just like the one moonshot and then like wrecking your entire brand. But hey, like that's some people do that method. They go viral and then they're like, all right, cool. Like I got my viral chance. Now I'm just gonna mess up the algo.
Yep. A lot of
Um,
people do that.
a lot of people. Saban,
Yes. Danny.
what questions about motivation do you have? Because I'm curious. Like you
Um,
came up with the topic.
One thing that I'd like to know, because I have, obviously a slightly different perspectives on it, I'm sure, but I'd love to know how you deal with time management. Uh,
Ooh,
Trying to manage your personal stuff, which in this case is odd man out, but even the stuff in the past with your personal brand, and your like full-time job, or even when you were in college, I'm not sure if you were doing any personal content, but like
yeah,
juggling that around. How did that all go?
yeah. I did. I've had a personal brand, if you can call it a brand, since middle school. believe it or not. So how do you balance? Right now, I have a full time job. That's salary, so like I actually work on weekends and like have to do things to catch up on work. So how I balance it goes back to exactly what you said about like you need some form of time management. And like this is something that I'm terrible at, but like I am working very hard to get it together. So here's my process, but I'm gonna preface this with like this is not the right way. This is just like I'm working to getting to the right way. So Danny's process of time management is I wake up in the morning, like an hour before I have to like start working. So like if my work starts at 9, I'm actually up at my computer by 8, right? And the first thing I do is I take a piece of actual paper. I have a notebook, a real notebook, not notes, right? Like yeah,
Physical?
physical notebook, pen and paper, bro. I
With
might
your
be the
hands?
I might be a new boomer. Yeah, dude, I might callous my hands. So I wake up, I go to my computer desk, I open my paper and run the risk of a paper cut,
That's
and
what
I
I'm worried
write
about.
and I write down every single thing that I need to accomplish, like have to, right? So it can be personal or it can be professional. That the point of the first list you make in the morning is just to get it out. Because if you don't get it out of your brain, you're always going to be thinking about it. Get it on paper and you know you can like come back to it. So I list everything out for OMO, for my job at Offbeat. Um and I have personal, I do personal side stuff too. So I write them all down and then I categorize them by work, uh, side hustle, odd man out, right? Is the side hustle, and then personal. Once you get them into those three buckets, then you just like put like, oh, okay, I'm gonna spend 20 minutes on this task and go. Like you have to start doing the task. So like it's called time blocking. I'm working towards time blocking. Google it. Time blocking seems really cool, but I'm too old school, so I need it on paper. So that's my process. But what most people do is they go on a Google Calendar and they'll do like 22-minute segments. Like they'll break their day down into 22-minute segments and they'll just assign a task that they got to get done, right? And then if it has to bleed into the next 22, you do it, and then you take a 5-minute break, and then 22 more minutes in. And apparently it motivates you. So we'll find out. But time management is key, right? Because if I'm at work and I'm worrying about like odd man out clips, I'm not working as optimally as I should be. And
Yeah.
same with like when I'm doing odd man out stuff at night, I shouldn't be thinking about work. But if you don't have time management, then your brain it can't rest easy. It can't rest peacefully knowing that you're gonna get to it. So like get it on paper, get it on a calendar, and then just start like checking off tasks. And anything at the end of the day you don't do, like another pro tip, set an end time. Like, dude, put 7 p.m. as your end time. That's when I have to stop working like my day job by 7 p.m. It's like time out. Um, anything that's left over by that hard stop just becomes the top of your list tomorrow. Because there's
Yeah.
always a tomorrow, man. Like always. Don't worry, it'll be there. You don't have to worry about it not being there.
And if it's not there, there's probably some bigger
That
problems
then you
than your
probably
to-do
don't.
list.
Yeah, probably don't have to work that day. But yeah, that's just like time management, and freelancers freelancers really struggle with this because when you have multiple like clients that need to be done, um, if you're new to freelance, you really don't know how many hours it takes you. So like I'm sure like Saban like now by now you probably have a flow established
Oh
for
yeah.
client work. But like why don't you I want to hear about when you started doing like a bunch of different things. What was the beginning of that like for you? And do you do anything different now that helps you, which ultimately helps with motivation? So like
I think
let's start with like how you used to start handling a lot of things.
so. That was probably around college once I started getting into like a lot of the similar stuff that I had to work on. But I think and I was probably a little luckier because I was never really overworked, unfortunately, just because everybody else was kind of like lazy or didn't want to do anything, so there was nothing for me to do at the college. They didn't want to do anything, so like I was never really overworked, unfortunately. As much as
Right.
I even wanted to be overworked, they were just like, "Nah, you're good." And then when I was an intern, like COVID hit when I did my first like real internship job. But I think definitely a key thing is write down everything that you're doing. You had it right with a to-do list. I do the same thing. I keep like a very because I struggle to even do like the personal stuff if I don't have it written down. Like if I don't have it written down on my phone to like go for a walk today and like get you have to eat lunch and dinner. Like I will just not even think about it. But I write a very vivid to-do list of all the important stuff to do, and then I always make sure to check it off after I complete it because that is very motivating. I feel like just seeing the progress that you're making through the day can just be such a booster in your motivation. And that's one reason I like to put the simple things down because even if it feels like you're not accomplishing much, like going for that 15-20 minute walk, right? You get to cross it off your list and then it already looks better, like you've done already a good amount today, and then you just go right into your next thing. But also, stay linear with what you're working on. Don't feel like I gotta get like everything done right now, and then at like exactly 6 p.m. I'm gonna go for my walk, and then like be give yourself some free time to like ease into everything, figure out what works for you, and make your time management realistic.
Yeah, yeah, I absolutely agree with you, and that will lead to way more motivation when you feel confident going into your workflow and you like know how long each task will take you. Just to add on to like your thing, it's just like pad time when you're first starting out. Like add time. If a client's like, "Yo, how long does a video take?" and you know you can jam that in an hour, don't tell them 45 minutes because you want to over deliver, right? Like, don't be the schmuck that goes over. Just be like, oh, it'll take me like an hour and 20 minutes and I'll bill you for that amount of time. Like, overcompensate, because then if you hit the hour, they won't be mad, right? But build in the
Exactly.
extra time and you won't be stressing yourself. And then you have room in your schedule, like, okay, you can push your walk up or push your walk back. That's really good advice. And even the walk, dude, that's a tip in itself for motivation, guys. Go outside. Damn
Yeah.
it. Go
That's one
touch
thing I
grass.
struggle with a lot, which is why I started writing it down because you can get really caught up in all the stuff you're working on, and especially as a freelancer and somebody who works with multiple clients and like I do the podcast, I have clients, I run an esports team, take flight, and then on top of that, I'm trying to do my own personal stuff. So like, am I really thinking about when to go for a walk? No. Like very rarely I'm even thinking about eating lunch. So, writing these things down, keeping track, it also in that sense, it's very healthy if you're making sure you're keeping track of like the physical stuff you're doing, making sure you're taking care of yourself. Because as much as all of us love to just like treat ourselves like trash and act like it doesn't matter, believe it or not, if you do have a better mental mindset, you will start making better content and you will feel more motivated to continue making content. As much
Yeah.
as I don't want to admit it,
Hit,
mental
hit.
health it is important, everyone. Remember it.
Yeah. We don't do that. Go out and touch grass. That is the moral of the story, dude. Like, honestly, some sun on your skin doesn't hurt you unless you're Irish
Yeah,
or a
honestly.
vampire.
I am Irish and just stay in the shade, man. You'll be all good.
We're gonna write an odd man out guide to how to survive outside. We got you guys. The odd man out wild wilderness survival guide. Cool. We
The first book deal on the way.
first book deal on the way. Amazon Kindle, 10% off. Anywho, that's yeah. I mean, like, dude, physical activity is huge. Even though people don't normally want to do it, and it sounds like generic, but like just going for that walk, like, really does clear the mental clutter out. And you can't be motivated if you feel bogged down. Uh, which brings me to another very important tip that just arbitrarily came up. Like, and I'm terrible at this, so this is gonna be a do as I say, not as I do situation. Sleep, dude. Sleep is apparently mad important. Um, I don't know, Saban. How many hours of sleep do you get a night, do you think? And again,
Oh
guys,
man,
not sleep advice. Please don't
not
follow us. We are not the shining example in this case.
It really depends. I'd say between 7 and 10 hours. And the only reason I have to give that is because I have like low key narcolepsy. So like some nights I will fall asleep at like 7 p.m. and I'll wake up at 4 and I'm like, oh, I guess it's just ruined at this point. But I'd say like on average I probably fall asleep around 10, wake up around 7.
I can attest to that. He fell asleep right before a podcast before at his
Yeah,
computer. It
that was fun.
happens. It's a real thing. Yeah, no, sleep is like mad important. I'm surprised you get that many hours. I was up all last night just because like again, if I don't follow my routine and like have my list for the next day ready, like I do a list before my list, uh like my brain won't shut off. And even sometimes with the list it won't shut off, but that's an issue for a therapist. Write a list, you will feel better. Trust me.
100%.
There, guys,
That's
there's
the
layers. Content is like an onion. There's layers. You need to have a good foundation. A therapist once you start making some money. Once you're making real money, you get multiple therapists. And then once
oh,
you're in the 2 to 3 therapist range, that's when the real magic happens because now you have a room of writers on your hand. You've
I
hired
thought you were
staff.
gonna get like a
Congrats.
Hunger Games type thing, like just getting more and more therapists.
Yeah, well, we're building towards that series. Yeah, we're gonna do the
Okay.
Hunger Game for yeah, but like if somebody doesn't like you, great content. Thank you, thank you. Um, why is it not giving me a name? That's so interesting. Thank you guys so much. Welcome to the stream. If it's your first time, make sure you give it a like. We appreciate you being here, gang. We're talking about motivation. We are talking about how we stay motivated during the hard times, how you can stay motivated during your hard times, AO. Um, and I don't know why I even said that. But yeah. So moving on. Oh, thank you. Now I have the name. Sorry guys, I was getting the name. Jonathan. Thank you for the John. Thank you
Thank you,
for the nice kind words. Great content. Um, back to motivation. Me and Saban had zero motivation to do this today.
John.
We're guys, we're coming clean. Saban, how does it feel to voice your folly to the world?
Man, it's been a demotivating beginning to the year. I think we can all agree. And as much as I like the dreary, rainy weather, I'm starting to blame the weather, man. I'm
Uh,
starting to think that that's why.
Seasonal depression, bro. It's a real thing. Seasonal changes do happen, especially if you have spring allergies. Yeah.
Mm.
So I get seasonal depression in the spring and the winter. It's great. There's nothing more miserable than like when you don't feel peak when you need to work. Right?
Oh
Can I
yeah,
just like totally not motivated? Actually, that has a lot to do
that
with
is
motivation.
motivation. Yeah.
Yeah, taking care of your body, but like there is nothing worse than like a sniffly nose when you have to produce content. Like when you're editing Saban, what's the worst? What's like the you can still edit, so like I'm not talking like you're knocked out of the park, but like what's the worst like pet sickness you get that you just like can't deal with? Like you just turn into another human being. Mine is that post nasal drip where the back of your throat just slightly stings a little bit, but not
I
the
love
real.
that.
Yeah, no, I hate that.
Yeah. And then you just like snuck. Never mind. Never mind. Honestly, yeah, I hate that too. Definitely. My worst thing to deal with is migraines. I think it's terrible when you have to deal with migraines, especially when you're editing or you're working on anything on the computer. It's just the most debilitating feeling having like a pain in your eye that only really gets worse by looking directly into light.
Right.
And your entire job and free time revolves around looking at light.
It's not like you're gonna pick up a book and read it. You know, it.
But that's the thing, you can't even do that because then your brain's like, "Oh, that's a lot of words that you're trying to read there,
Yeah, you
buddy."
just gotta
Okay.
just put a blindfold on. Yeah. So that's motivated. Like that's related to motivation. Um, dude, there's so much about motivation. There's so much. Just get motivated. Just do it. In the words of Shia LaBeouf, I don't know why we even have
Do
talks about motivation. Just do it. Damn it. Just do it. What do
I'm
you got on
trying
your
to
list, Saban? What
think.
do you got on your list? Is there things that you want to ask me? I feel like me and you are like we're friends, but like and co-host, but like is there any questions like you personally want to ask about motivation? Like what do you think about? What about motivation intrigued you enough to do an episode to want to do an episode about it?
Uh, I think,
Was it
trying to
because you
get
were feeling
over.
unmotivated?
Kinda, yeah, yeah. I felt like it would be a good time to talk about motivation if you're not feeling motivated, because then you could kind of get that insight. Do you want
So
to talk about
let's let's
not
let's
being motivated?
let's talk about that because I think it'll help our listeners and our viewers. Let's talk about let's use you. You're our guinea pig. You're our live sample. Why are you unmotivated? Like what specifically? Well, let's start with how long. I'm gonna pretend to be a psychiatrist. I shaved for it today. I just have the mustache today. So
Okay.
how long have we been feeling unmotivated for?
6 years. No, I'm just kidding.
Can't help you.
Like a week, like a week, probably a week.
Like 1 week of not motivated. Why are you feeling unmotivated? Do you know why you're feeling unmotivated? Let's start with that.
I think trying to figure out where I'm going with content creation is kind of where I'm stuck at the moment. I'm at a
Okay.
crossroads of creating a bunch of different content, but at the
Mm.
same time, I'm not really creating much at the moment.
Okay. So the
Uh,
the wheels are spinning, but nothing's happening.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Um. Okay. And are you currently taking steps to get motivated, or no? Are you trying to figure out how to do that?
Yeah, yeah, I think more so just kind of waiting to become motivated again because I know
Great.
it'll happen.
Great. Well, Saban, what if I told you that today you can get motivated for free via the Odd Man Out podcast?
I was gonna say, is this a sponsorship?
No, I mean, like, guys, this is what the podcast is about. We're gonna teach you like in real time how to get that. I call it mojo, but motivation, mojo, your vibes. Like, we're gonna get the vibes back and help Saban out. So Saban, you're feeling stuck. Like, if okay, so like if a client had approached me, if somebody was like, Danny, can like I get an hour because this is something we're gonna start doing soon. TBD. So if you're here, you're getting it firsthand. We're going to offer opportunities where like you can one-on-one get coaching from us for moments like this. So you can spend an hour with me and we're going to do what we're doing with Saban, but it's free right now because you're watching it. I'm not going to charge you. You can just watch this. But if you want
You're gonna
personalized,
charge me though, right?
we'll talk about, you can invoice me, but like at the friend rate, right?
Shit.
So we're gonna do like the process I would do on a client. So Saban comes to me, he says, I'm unmotivated. Now I've started, you guys just witnessed the digging part. I asked him, does he know why? And Saban said he's at a crossroads. So now what my job is to figure out why Saban is stuck at that point. So Saban, you're feeling unmotivated because you're at a crossroads. Um, are there too many choices?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of choices. I think one big thing is not really knowing where to start because of all the choices. And, there's a lot
Okay.
of, you don't want to wait, as we've
Yeah.
talked about on the podcast before, you don't want to wait to be making your content. You need to just
Right.
put yourself
Right.
out there.
Right. But currently there's nothing coming out because you're stuck at this crossroads. Right?
Exactly.
So you're still waiting. Okay, cool. So you have a list of choices in front of you. What are your let's ignore the choices for right now. What are Saban's goals for like why what are your goals for this year? Like what do you want to accomplish in 2023? Have
I
you
would
thought
like
have you thought
to,
about goals?
I would like to make 12 videos for my own channel that I am proud of.
12. That's one a month. That's a lot.
Yeah.
On top of flight, on top of OMO, and on top of freelance.
Yes.
I like it. I like that. That's good. So you want to make 12 a year. Um why aren't you working on those?
I am.
Okay. But you're feeling unmotivated to start that is what I'm assuming.
Yeah, or maybe more so continue. Like I've started maybe like 4 different videos at this point, but I don't really want to like. I don't know. I can't find myself finishing any of them.
Okay. Great. So when you post these videos, why do you want to post them? Like what is the purpose of the 12? Like what is the meaning of that for you?
I guess it's partially an outlet for myself creatively, while at the same time could be a portfolio piece if it's done well enough. Is
Mhm.
where I'm coming from.
What is the ultimate outcome that you would like once all 12 of these are out? What does your ideal life look like? Like so you have achieved your goal. You've done it. You've published
Yeah.
all 12 of these videos. What is the outcome you are looking for?
I mean, ideally, I get a few followers from it who would
Mhm.
like to see more content, which would influence me to continue making a few more videos into 2024. But worst case scenario, if I just make the 12 videos, all of them seemingly flop or don't get any traction, it is what it is. I would be content with what I did, and I would probably just move away from personal content moving into next year and try to figure out what my focus for content should be.
Why, what is it you want to accomplish with those personal videos? Like, is there something that's, like, itching you? Is there a reason why those 12 videos, or even say we did one, right? Is it
Yeah.
to, is it to scratch an itch you have?
Yes.
What
Yeah.
is that
Uh,
itch?
creatively fulfillment, because I
Yeah,
feel
you need
like
to try something different.
in all of these years of creating content, and I don't really like creating content for myself, which is another reason that it's kind of hard to motivate myself to start making content for myself because I don't want to make my own content in the first place.
Mhm.
Um, but with working for all these clients over these years, like, yeah, I've been able to do a lot of my creative spins and I've had a ton of input, and obviously, people pay me to do my style of editing. But very rarely do I feel like I'm creatively pushing myself with a lot of the videos. A lot of videos I do for clients, like, yeah, they'll be creative and I'll do some fun stuff, but like it's stuff that I know I can replicate well.
Mhm.
And I don't have a lot of room to be trying creatively new things. Like I'd like to do masking more. I'd like to
Mhm.
try more meme stuff, shaking captions, all these types of things that not a lot of clients are necessarily looking for at the moment.
Yeah.
But I'd like to try to make them work so I can showcase in a portfolio like, hey, this is the type of style video that you could be doing. Here's how I did it. Here's an example.
And to fulfill that itch, you want 12.
Yeah, I think
Mhm.
12 because one a month is reasonable for me 100%.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Well, you're holding yourself to a high standard because you know you can pump it if you try. But right
but I
now
also
you're running into a roadblock because you have 4 videos started, one of them presumably being a personal video.
oh yeah, all four of them are.
All 4 are personal videos, and now you've just stopped. And
Yeah.
what my hunch is telling me is that you'll probably start number 5. Like, you've probably
Yeah,
started thinking about number 5, and you might start writing it, or you might start getting some footage for number 5, but you're not gonna do the other 4.
and the problem I think is that for a lot of the videos I'm doing, like I'm gathering footage inherently because like a lot of the videos I'm making are on things that I'm genuinely just passionate about in my free time as well.
Mhm.
So like, and that's what kind of made me want to start making a video in the first place because
Yeah,
I have so many like Call of Duty or Valorant clips or a plethora of different things that
yeah,
are just on my
cool.
drive
No,
waiting to be
so
used.
so this is great. We can work with this, right? So, um, you wanna do these 12 personal videos. Um, is the lack of motivation currently preventing you from accomplishing other tasks that you should be doing?
No, I think if anything, it's actually making me do them more
Because 'Cause
because
you're
I'm kind of like,
procrastinating on the
yeah,
personal. Okay, cool.
I have a ton of stuff to be working, as we've already discussed. So like, it's not
Right.
hard for me to be like, all right, I'm gonna just like edit a short for Odd Man Out right now instead of working on my own thing, or like I'm gonna edit this Take
S
Flight short, stuff like
when
that.
when are you the most productive? Like, when you're in your flow, when Saban hits his flow, when are you in your most productive? What, like, morning, mid-afternoon, evening, early evening, late evening, like, night owl? What do you got?
Like 12 to 2, and then like
Mhm.
9 p.m. after.
Okay, so from 12 to 2, do you have a blocked time from 12 to 2? Like, what are you
Normally,
doing from 12 to 2 on a daily
Normally, I'm
basis?
editing something for a personal project. Not necessarily a saving personal project, but like I consider Odd Man Out and Take Flight also personal projects. So
So
currently,
you're
for
editing.
anybody who's wondering, I don't have a full time job, so I have more time in general than that to be working on personal projects. But generally, like 12 to 2 is a time that I try to keep free.
Okay, cool. So you have time. You're procrastinating via using these other outlets, and your lack of motivation is caused by the fact that you then feel that there's no time, or you don't have the motivation to finish what you're starting. And I think
Yeah,
the reason why is because you want to do portfolio work, which is awesome, but it's not aligning with um like an overarching goal of yours. Like, is a goal of yours to get a client? to get a job, to get money, to get clout? Like what
Yes.
is a goal of yes, all of the above. No, but like
All
seriously,
4.
like what's the most important thing to Saban? Like what do you like I think if you mapped the results of those videos to a vanity metric like views, you'd be very disappointed because usually those projects we spend a lot of hours on get like no views. Like we
And that's why
know
I'm not aiming for views, because 'cause I'm, like,
yeah,
low
but
expectation.
you're trying to scratch an itch.
Yeah.
But you're stressing because you're trying to scratch an itch should be something that's like passion driven, right? So like we should be like super motivated to do our own stuff, which means something in that project is not like clicking with like it's not clicking with a deeper desire that you have.
I think it's fear of failure, like, even though
Yeah, you
I
don't want the
say
because you have no
that I
excuse.
yeah,
there's nobody telling you, Saban, you have to make this video. You're not getting paid. Nobody's directing you, and every decision is your own. So if it looks like crap, it's on you.
yeah, and
But
also,
But,
like,
like, you have 12 of
yeah.
them, so, like, you could fuck up 9 and still come out with
Yeah,
3 bangers.
or you could fuck up all 12.
And what happens what's the worst thing that happens if
Um, I guess loss of the potential outlet, you know? Like, in my
okay.
head, I
You would
had
lose the
thought of
confidence in your ability at that point.
yeah, like, right now I have it in my head, like, yeah, I could probably make some personal videos and they'd
Yeah.
do okay.
Yeah.
But, like, realistically, like, the algorithms are so weird right now. There's, like, so much that goes into making long form content that's
Yeah,
it's difficult.
it is, yeah, it's a lotta, like, keyword research, it's hard to find the motivation,
Yeah, it's a weird industry for sure, especially because like, a lot of my free time goes into making content that it's hard to try and make more content in my free time that involves my voice when I don't really wanna hear my voice that much.
have you considered getting yourself an editor for your personal content? Or is
Uh,
that part of the outlet? You want
I mean,
that
yeah, that's the
but,
whole
like, have you
point is
considered, like, a
honestly
pre-editor? Like, you get somebody to line it up a timeline, or you're just, like, feeling like, "Nah, that's not just, like, a path you wanna do." It's
yeah,
totally cool if you don't.
it's just not really a good use of
Cool.
my time, I don't think.
Yeah, yeah, no, totally agree, like, I'm just spitballing, like so the way you've been doing it is not working, so we gotta change something, right?
Yeah,
Because starting a new video and then just not finishing it and then starting another video is not a strategy, that's procrastination, and then you're just, like, jammed
well,
up at the end.
that's a strategy.
Right. Well, that's a strategy, a legitimate strategy, guys. No, what I really think you need, my prescription for your
Description.
yeah, my
Dr. Danny.
prescription. Yeah, Doctor Dan. Ew, that's gross. It sounds like a porn star. Um, no, what I would recommend is like really thinking about the reason why you're doing those videos. If it's just a creative itch, I can tell you now, like on Odd Man Out, to start masking more shit. Then, like, if that's honestly it, which I know it's not, but there's definitely something deeper there that you just like either don't know, don't want to say, which is fine. Like that's like a personal like you like either know or you subconsciously know. There's like a lot of things that could be preventing that, but you got to like keep mulling it because until that thing clicks then you're not gonna want to do it because like the
Yeah,
brain doesn't want to do it. So like one, I would try to find your why in those videos, which is to prove to yourself that you can do it, even though you can, and nobody needs you don't need that. But anywho, that's like totally doable. And then one a month, like take the task, break it down. Like how many hours a day do you think you really you probably if you worked on that video for what like 3 days, you could probably have it to a draft one.
yeah, it'd probably be done in 3 days.
Right. So it's just like
Yeah.
take 3 days worth of
I'm
work.
fast as that's another
Yeah,
thing,
but
I'm
take
fast
3 days
as
worth of
fuck.
work and put them in little 20-minute segments and do one segment a day. You have a whole month, my dude. Like 20
Yeah,
minutes, just like start the project. Use 20 minutes on like the day one to just configure the project. And chances are when you start doing the 20 minutes, it's called the Pomodoro technique, is you'll want to keep doing more. So like you'll end up spending an
yeah,
hour.
yeah, probably.
But like set a time. Like if I was you, like maybe 12 to 2, like you're not employed by like like a 9 to 5. So you could honestly just be like 12 to 2, say fuck everything else and only do your personal.
Yeah, that's not a good use of time though.
Or 20 minutes of it.
Yeah, yeah, that's probably better.
right? Like get the creative juices going and be like, oh, I'm going to try to do like this masking technique for 20 minutes and I'm going to save it, put it in the drawer and like it's a good drawer project.
Yeah, yeah,
And then you do your clips and then maybe that technique makes its way into like a video that you're working on.
yeah.
Um how does that okay, so what if actionable steps, right? So this is the final part of the process, guys. You talk about it, you try to uncover what the fuck is going on. Most of the time you can't figure it out, which is fine. That's creative, like that's creativity. But I feel like Saban's further. Maybe I'm wrong, but do you feel further than when you started? Like you at least know questions to ask yourself when you're unmotivated? Or do you feel like
You just
fuck, I'm
gotta
still stuck?
fucking do it. You just gotta fucking do it, honestly.
Yeah, gotta grind it. So
Yeah,
we're gonna keep motivated. We're gonna keep Saban motivated. We're gonna check in on him. What I would normally do with a client is be like, "Hey, next steps. Like, here's 3 things that I need you to do by the next time we see each other." And it is like a lot like therapy. But the next time they come, they would have homework essentially, and they would do their homework, and come back, and they will have made progress, ideally. But thanks, Saban, for being a guinea pig. We're gonna get you unstuck because it is very like it is it like impedes on it encroaches on everything. You know, like it does mess up when you're trying to edit even stuff that you know how to edit. Um, yeah, that's dude. I go through that at least once a week. I go through like there's one day a week every week guaranteed where I'm like I don't want to do anything, dude, and I work like full time during the day. So getting motivated to do that is difficult. And then when you're done doing that, you got to then I love Odd Man Out, but you got to pool the VOD, start the projects, do the newsletters. And Saban's not there to like be like, "Hey, I'm going to fire you if you don't do it," because we're both busy. But like we have to oh my gosh, is that Take Flight owner Saban Neo? How do you say your last name, Saban?
you said it right.
Niele. Neil?
Neil, yeah.
Nice, dude. I got it. Um, but yeah, guys. So motivation, like, dude, it's a real struggle, and that's why like you have to have a deeper. Like, if Saban wasn't truly passionate about video and editing and making cool content, like he probably would quit. So like you
Oh
gotta
yeah, I would not be doing this shit
just
if I didn't
start
genuinely like it.
right. You have to love like you have to have a really good why. Like you have to
Yeah,
have a super deep rooted why into what you're doing and why you're doing it. And that's why Saban, you're helping people. Like that's a really great um that's a really great way to like swing the motivation levels up because like when there's somebody else involved, there's something in the human brain that's like, yo, I have the energy to help that person, but I don't have
yeah.
the energy to help myself.
And I think that's why I can get a lot of content done. Like even for Take Flight, I find it easier because I mean most of Take Flight's content has my voice in it because I'm the commentator for our videos.
Yeah.
But I know that in those videos, I'm helping produce something for those 5 players that they
Hmm.
enjoy watching and will help their careers. So it definitely makes it a lot easier than just being like, if I spend all this time on one of Saban's personal videos, like, cool, I guess I'm like creatively fulfilled, but like, I don't really care that much about just myself and just making my life better necessarily or happier with more motivation. Like, what motivates me is knowing that other people have been influenced by what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is something I'm working more on because I think everybody should, you should be motivated by yourself and you should do things that make you feel better just for your own selfish reason. That is important sometimes to be selfish for yourself.
Oh yeah.
Uh, but definitely for me, I'm much more motivated by helping others. So it is hard to just do something just for saving.
Yeah, yeah, and guys, like here, like Saban kind of like touches on a good point. He's like, um, oh my gosh, so you feel motivated by helping others, and like that's a good motivation. But guys, there's like we've used that one example of motivation. You can be selfishly motivated, and it's not a negative thing either. Like I'm very motivated by my alone time. Like I'm super motivated by like when I have time to look forward to where I'm just alone, that's when I'm super productive. So, and it's not like it's because I don't like people. Well, I do not like people, but it's because like me alone time is time for my brain to like reset and like readjust and realign on what I'm trying to do. And that's what motivates me, and it has nothing to do with helping people. Some people are motivated by food. Some people are motivated by like acts of love. Some people are motivated by like just revenge. Like there's so many things that can motivate a person. So the stuff that we're talking about here, it's going to change person to person. Like the way that we talked to Saban about him being unmotivated would be entirely different. And it's always case by case with like who you're talking to at the time. Um, so yeah, man, it is damn, dude. Like content creation and like coaching is a lot like therapy, because a lot of
Really
people's
is.
like blockages don't come from the content itself. Their blockages come from like freaking ego, or they come from like lack of motivation, which usually is like driven by some like repressed emotion,
Yeah,
really, that you're
right.
trying to get out.
Self-conscious and ego are two very big parts of content creation. And you need to find a good balance. You need to be confident in what you're producing and you need to like gas up your own stuff. But you also need to like, not have a huge ego and think you're the best. There's ways to
But
be
you are the
selfless
best.
and selfish.
But you are the best.
Ooh,
Our listeners are
yeah,
the best. If you're listening to this
true.
podcast, you're the best.
You're the
That's
best.
yeah. See, we know how to gas you up. What would you say? I had a really good question. You said you need confidence and ego. No, your
Something like
ego,
that.
something like that. Damn, I lost my question. I was gonna ask you like what percentage of like yeah, no, it's gone now. It's fleeted. It's gone. It's like love though. It'll come back if it was meant to be, and it
Yeah.
probably wasn't. Motivation, guys, obviously is very difficult, and that's one of the things that you're going to constantly be dealing with, which is like got to pick something you really like, and then like test it, and if you find out you don't like it, like it's fine, but pivot, please, for the love of God. Don't do this if you're like not loving it.
100%.
1,000%. Saban, I want to know any last thoughts, any other questions that are in you that you've been trying to solve, want to know the answers to, random stuff, or just closing thoughts on motivation in general.
I just say make sure you work on what motivates you. Everybody's got their own motivations, and I think a lot of people try to make you think that like you've got to have your motivation be money or you got to have your motivation be this or that. Whatever motivates you and whatever makes you feel like you're accomplishing something that's meaningful, that's what you should be working towards. And that's what you should be doing. Don't let other people convince you otherwise. Because in the end, you don't have to appease to anybody except yourself. And that's what really is going to motivate you. Unless, unless what motivates you is appeasing to others, which in that case, pander away. But that's like really rare. But yeah, that's my closing thought. Yeah.
I like it. That was deep and also vain in the same way. It was
Mhm.
great. That was a really good balance. My closing thoughts on motivation is uh I'm very bad at this, but I'm trying to work on this. It's like the idea of like running your life to zero, and what that basically means is like juicing life for all it has, because like we're all screaming towards an endless abyss of whatever happens next. So to me, what motivates me the most is like making the most out of each day and like trying to be as like I'm never 1,000. Nobody's ever 100% happy. I think like that's like the ultimate goal. But more reasonably, it's like how can I be just 1% happier today than I was yesterday? Because life is short, and like we have to like, dude. I love me and Saban are not like we were tired and unmotivated to do this, but like, dude, I love to make this stuff. Like I love when we post a short and people like comment like, oh, dude, this helped, or like, oh my gosh, you guys like I would wish I had this sooner. And that to me is motivating enough because every day, dude, we're gonna be bumbling on the future technology. Like me and Saban are gonna be old and wrinkly and not know how to like, oh, the AR with the puppy on it, I can't grab it. Like we're gonna be dumb. So like we got to use the tech while we're smart now, and
Mhm.
try to juice life every single day. That's why we're doing a podcast now. Um, Great closing thoughts. Saban, where can people find you and what you're up to on the internet? Now is the time to shill away.
Well, you can find me on Twitter at just Saban, the little name tag thingy down there. Just Saban is also my YouTube handle, so you can find me there, and I'm going to be uploading some personal content very, very soon. How about
Hell
you,
yeah,
Damien?
hell yeah! And Take Flight won 2 games. Honorable shout out at
Yes,
Take
thank
Flight.
you.
Nice. See, I got you. Yeah, you can find me at Danny B Social on everything. LinkedIn is my preferred method. Also for our podcast listeners, we have a newsletter, gang. So we take all of these episodes, we break them down. I give you the deets. We give you the deets. on what was in the episode. We link you guys to super secret videos we've worked on, which is really cool. And that will be where we spread super secret news that you can only get on the newsletter. We have some things cooking. We're going to try to help as many people as we humanly can with this podcast. If you're listening to the podcast, make sure you guys rate the show 5 stars. Follow us on YouTube at Odd Man Out Studio. It's youtube.com/@oddmanoutstudio. Right? Don't get
OMO.
confused. Follow us on Twitter at OMO. God damn you, Simon. Follow us on Twitter at Odd Man Out Studio. Follow us on Instagram at Odd Man Out Studio. On YouTube, one more time, at Odd Man Out Studio. And Twitch at Odd Man Out Studio. Man, we're branding geniuses, Saban.
Right? A lot of
We're so good.
studio.
A lot of studio. We're working on bringing you guys the best insights into the creator economy. Thank you for listening to episode 6. Let's get motivated, gang. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you liked this episode and want more, be sure to check out our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@oddmanoutstudio. That's youtube.com/@oddmanoutstudio.